Curtis A reached out to me, said make a theme song for my show. Said alright, just give me all the details, man. And my homie says he don't know. Well, if you're gonna pay me big bucks, cause I might should have something to say. He said, you know what I bring, I'm the customizing king, nothing else matters anyway. So is he gonna have guests? I don't know. Is he gonna go live? I don't know. What time will it be? What will you see? I'm pretty much in the dark, but I can guarantee you'll be customizing action figures, getting paint all on his fingers. It's art by Akerman. It's art by Akerman. Tips and tricks and conversation, sharing his gift with every nation. It's art by Akerman. Art by Akerman. You best get ready, cause now it's time for Art by Akerman.
All right, howdy, folks. It is time for another How'd They Do That? This is a segment where I talk to folks in the community about their artwork. It could be a custom type of art that they do. Could be photography. Could be dios. Who knows? Today, who knows? But today we are talking to an individual that has done some amazing tribute figures that I wanted to bring on and kind of talk about, you know, how do you go about doing that? How do you pick the parts? Like, how do you pick the colors? When you go outside of the line, like what things do you use? So I'm excited to do this one. And let me bring to the stage good buddy DaKen. DaKen, how you doing, sir?
What's up, Curtis? I've never seen that intro. That intro is fantastic, man. I was loving it.
Jeremy DeWitt is amazing. If anybody in the community needs a theme song, that dude he's fantastic. So
that's a legit song right there.
yeah. I like, you know, you let him know, you're like, hey, I need a song. Here's the show. Here's kind of what it's about. Like, you know, and I even gave him a theme. And then he's like, I started on something. He's like, but I had another idea. He goes, what do you think? I think he said in the vein of like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like that kind of vibe. And I was like, that's fine, man, whatever you got. So, and then he kicked that out to me, and I was like, yeah, that works totally. So
with minimal instruction, if he came back with that, I mean,
yeah,
he's golden.
Exactly. And he was even asked, and like the things in there, he's like, are you gonna have guests? I don't know. All right, like, you gonna go live? I really, like, this is literally as I was starting the channel, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. And he's like, all right, I'll make it work.
Perfect.
All right, so we've got a few tributes that you have done, some Marvel ones that I think are absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's some folks in the community do some awesome tribute work. Obviously, people know Eric Miller and Emil as doing quite a lot of tributes. Sure. I would put the three that we're going to look at from you right up there with those in terms of quality and just sheer awesomeness. So wanted to get into it.
Compliment. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's, you know, listen, I understand we all have different responsibilities, different things that we're into. I know you had talked about doing some other like canvas painting and stuff, so we might not all crank out the same volume as some others. But in terms of quality, man, like these are fantastic. So let me pull up the slideshow. So this is the Galactus. And let me go. So you made it really nice because each of these, you kind of did a thing where you have two characters together in one picture. So it makes a nice transition from the one to the other. So I think this is going to work pretty nicely. So starting with this one. So first off, what made you think of this character? And then when you think of, hey, I want to do that character, how do you then decide what parts and everything to include in here?
Sure. Well, in deciding like what characters to go after,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love Legion's standard, characters, of course. But I'm a Marvel boy. I grew up reading comics, and as much as I enjoyed DC too, it was always about Marvel. And cosmic characters always stood out to me. I always loved the idea of like any character from a distant planet kind of figuring out some kind of crazy stuff. And Galactus is the big baddie. So to try to figure out how to incorporate any of the Legion's parts to create this, I
Mhm.
look on the website. I check out the main Four Horsemen site, and it shows all the characters from either
Oh,
Cosmic
on
or
Source Horseman.
yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So there's I don't know if everybody knows this, but for folks that don't know this, like on Source Horseman, at the top you can there's a little thing in the corner, and you can drop down and you can select like Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, Figure Obscura. Well, within those, there is a section where you can pull up a checklist, like DaKen's talking about here, and it'll list everything in alphabetical order, or you can look by wave or whatever. And I actually keep on my phone at all times, I keep two tabs open. One is the checklist for Mythic Legions, and one is the checklist for Cosmic Legions. And that way, if I ever have to go back and I can't think of a character's name or what parts they came with or whatever, like it's boom, boom, it's right there. But yeah, I'm right with you on that.
it's the best way to quickly scour through what's available and picking out
Mhm.
what you think might work. Some people have like an encyclopedic knowledge of all the parts. I'm not that guy. As much as I remember
Okay.
all the characters, I have to see it visually in front of me.
Mhm.
So starting off with the website's fantastic. And I think that book that's coming out that Trevor put together, all of his photographs of all the characters, I can't wait for that to like leaf through that, because it's going to give
Yeah.
us a quick visual of everything. So but yeah, I saw someone do or talk about doing an Iron Man
Mhm.
using that tusk body,
Yep.
and I was like, oh, that's that centerpiece there. I said that's a perfect idea, I think, for Galactus. So I did some research on the website, like we said, Source Horseman or Four Horseman website. I was like, that'll fit perfect. So I picked that one up, and Galactus, of course, has a skirt. So I just looked at some mythic pieces. I forget exactly which one I grabbed where I had that. I think all of us toy collectors, we know, like we have tons and tons of parts. We have a fodder
Yeah.
bin. So I just scoured through my fodder bin, and I found that piece that's like also work out perfect. I think I had to cut off like a piece of this, or maybe this one I didn't. Maybe it was the Silver Surfer I cut it off. But
Mm.
definitely that skirt piece was going to work out. And then it was a matter of
I
finding out.
love on the loin part of it in the front how you did like the couple of those flaps purple and then the rest blue. Like I've never done that where I've done different colors like that, and it really ties this whole thing together. Like from the four dots on his abdomen, and then you get like that section there. It like really blends it all and makes it look. It doesn't look like it's mythic and cosmic mixed, right? Like it looks
Gotcha,
it
yeah.
looks very cohesive.
That's just from looking at the design of Galactus. You have so many
Mhm.
great artists from the comics to look at and see how has he changed throughout the years, and what would make sense based on the plastic parts that you're working with. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he has that kind of a look. So I was just trying to figure out what parts do I paint blue in that skirt, what parts do I paint
Mhm.
pink, just like you said, to kind of help make it feel more cohesive and tie together a little bit more naturally. Um, but
Beautiful.
the big piece here for sure, I mean, honestly, is the head. Like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna. Emil is amazing for him figuring out different pieces to create
Right.
like the head that he wants.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Just I mean, I'm sure there's ways to do that with a Galactus, but for
Mhm.
me, I'm really just making these for me. Like I want them to look as much as the character as possible, so I can have it on my shelf and say, "Hey, that's my Galactus."
Yeah.
I like I like Hasbro, Marvel Legends, of course, too. But the aesthetic for Mythic is fantastic, and to have that aesthetic in Marvel characters is like a win-win. So
So
it's just a
where
matter
did
of
this
finding
head
out.
come from?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Where did this head come from then?
Yeah, what I do is I'll scour the internet and see like what sculpts are available, and
Mhm.
then I'm friendly with a lot of people within the cabal that do a lot of printing, and I buy the file itself,
Okay.
the sculpt file, and I send it to them, and we'll work together to scale it appropriately and kind of shift it how we need to, and some of them will actually do some work on them for me, so they'll make adjustments beyond just size and like I don't even know what you would call it. They like will sometimes make it a little bit wider, or a little bit taller, as well as
Yeah.
enlarge or shrink. Um, but yeah, so that's what I do. I just search on the internet, find pieces that I think will work. I actually know some people that help me out and will combine different pieces. I actually have a head sculpt that'll be coming out at some point. I think the Cabal will be pretty thrilled with.
That's
Where we
cool.
do a mix of 3 different head sculpts to create one new one. It's pretty wild. But yeah, so that's what I did.
Awesome.
I Etsy is a big spot to pick out some heads. They have a lot of different
Mhm.
stuff there. You can look on eBay. There's a lot of guys that sell on there. And there's different 3D sites. I don't remember ones off the top of my head. There's so many of them, but if you check on different sites like that, you can find different sculpts and have at it. But so yeah, that's
Yeah.
where this Galactus came from. And when I got it printed, Peter printed this for me. He's an awesome guy. I'm
Mhm.
sure everyone in the Cabal is aware of Peter. But yeah, he sent this to me, and we got it the scale perfect. I was like, man, this is going to be awesome if I do it right. So
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a sticky situation when it comes to like known characters and protected IPs. Obviously in the Cabal, they've got rules where you can't like advertise for sale something that you don't own the rights to, right?
sure.
But it's different if you're kind of doing it as a one-off piece for yourself versus something where you're mass producing it and trying to sell it and that kind of thing. So I do like the fact that you're going out, you're doing research, you're seeing who's sculpted this. And then if it doesn't exactly fit your needs, you're using it, you're modifying it and working with somebody to print it like that. If you're going to do something like this, that's the way to do it. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to be sensitive to people's artwork and what they're producing, what they're putting out there.
Yeah.
And like I said to you, like I'm only ever doing customs for myself. I have no interest in selling them. I've had people interested in buying them, and that's cool. But I'm not. It's more for me and just having fun being creative and getting to share it with people that love being creative as well. So
I mean, I can see why this thing is absolutely gorgeous. And I think that one of the things I like best about this is the different tones that you use of the same color. Like you've got, the blues, but you've got a lighter blue, a darker blue, the kind of purplish, pinkish, maroonish. Like you've got a couple, like a dark and a light, and just where you chose to use the lighter colors versus where you use the darker colors really makes this pop. And I think that's what sells this, as well as it just being like, it's very visually pleasing, right? Like you look at this and the colors just like hit you, like very vibrant.
thanks, man. Yeah, I remember when I started doing the first layers on this, like you really had to pick and choose what spots should get lighter, what spots should get darker of those 2
Mhm.
colors, the blue darks and lights and the pink lights and darks. And that was just, that's part of the fun of the process of figuring out, is it going to work out if I do it this way or that way? It's
Mhm.
small decisions, but you definitely have to make those decisions when you're doing it. And yeah, I think it worked out. I think it came out pretty well. I remember it being very time consuming in comparison to all the other customs I've done. The tusk body, I did spray it ahead of time. I put like a primer on it, a gray primer,
Mhm.
which helped the paint, hold a lot better. I know you can do it, as long as you wash the plastic pieces beforehand really well with soap, dry them
Mhm.
out really well. You can usually just paint right on it, the existing paint that's there. But the primer I think helps a tremendous amount, especially with this one. I remember. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely helps the grab something to grab a hold of the paint as you're putting it on there. Especially if you're
yeah,
doing like thin layers. Sometimes if the plastic is too kind of smooth, or maybe even has like an oily kind of residue or something on it, you could get you where your paint kind of pools up and starts like leaving little dots and stuff. And it's like, so yeah, priming it, if you can, typically helps. If I'm doing just like an accent, like maybe I'm not doing a full repaint like this and I'm just doing a couple accent pieces, I may not prime. But if anytime I'm doing a full repaint, yeah, I'm pretty much priming the whole thing.
Yeah, it'll save a lot of time overall, even though it's an
For
extra
sure.
step or an extra process, piece in the process for you. It's worth it.
And I included the back shot of this one because I don't think a lot of people think about the backside of a character. Like it's like, well, you're not going to really see that too much anyway. But I mean, I love the detail that's even included there. Like, you had to choose like, okay, where am I going to put the stripe here and this here, and how's this stuff going to blend together? Even the back of the head looks amazing. Yeah, I mean, just great work all the way around.
I feel like, when you're dealing in a 3D, form like that, every part is the canvas. So you should take care of it, right? You should put the effort
Absolutely.
into it. Even though it'll be on the
Absolutely.
shelf and you won't see the backside so much, it's worth it.
So here you got a couple action shots. Looks like you used a couple accessories with this. So can you
Oh,
tell us a little
sure.
bit about this?
Yeah, like I said, the fodder bin, you got to check and see what effects pieces do you have and will they work with the characters or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll reuse stuff all the time. Like I think I have that that like electric piece right now is on a different character, but for the
Mm-hmm.
photograph, I was like, oh, this will fit. And if you know Galactus, he's got one of the craziest weapons in the arsenal, the ultimate nullifier. So I had to get a print and put that together, and it was hard actually to find, like, thinking about how to paint that one because there's not
Yeah.
much reference. I mean, you might see it, but it's always like gray in the comic book or like a silver in the comic book. So it's like this has got to get juiced up a little bit. So I put some different silver blues and yeah, I think actually I have it right here. It's all different blues, silvers, and a few black spots. So
That's cool. I love the on the gauntlet part, the bracer, where it's got that port that you can plug stuff in for Cosmic Legions, where you did the lighter color on the inside. I think that really makes that pop. It just, I don't know, it just looks cool. So
thanks.
yeah.
I'm sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, like, I especially with this cosmic body. I mean, Eric Treadaway does a great job with the sculpting on all of these things. But the one reason why I've really flocked to the Tusk, I just really love the Tusk so much, is that there's so much sculptural detail that, like you said, like each time that you look at it, you go, okay, which things am I going to paint here? Which ones are because you don't necessarily hit every single accent piece, right? Like you're not hitting every single thing in there. So you could take the same color scheme and the same figure and paint it up 1,000 different ways because there's just so many different levels of detail. And so when I look at this and I see like the places that you chose that you're like, okay, you know what? This is a spot where I'm going to throw this lighter color. And this is a spot where I'm going to throw this darker color. And this one, I'm kind of just blend in with the rest of it. I think that really, it came out really well. And I just love your choices here.
Thanks. Yeah, that's all part of the fun of the process, figuring it out as you go along, or maybe you have an idea in your head, but as you start like putting the paint to the plastic, it's like, oh, this isn't going to work like I thought. And definitely those spots there in the not the pauldrons, the bracer
The
for the
bracers,
wrist
yeah.
there. Yep, that's cool. I love the plastic like shaft pieces that you get that you can put there and add like different weapons and accessories onto. But for this character specifically, I was like, I gotta fill that in. I gotta,
Right.
it wouldn't work. So I put fix it or like an epoxy sculpt piece. I forget exactly what it was, but I just filled in the hole and then I figured, oh, the lighter color there I think would make more sense. But
Yeah,
you're right, Eric Treadaway, like, we're all so invested in this line the way that we are because of that man. I mean, it's the whole, crew, of course, that's part of producing the toys, but Eric's aesthetic and the way that he sculpts and, like you said, the layers, you can totally make the same body, the same sculpt, so many different characters because you can accent so many different sections within it. So it's really cool.
Well, I think you get one of these figures under a magnifying glass and you start looking at it, or you put on a pair of readers or one of those head contraptions with the magnifier, and you start looking at it, and it's like, oh my gosh, like how did he get all of these tiny details in the space? And I've never noticed it. I find, especially when you're doing a full repaint, you pick up, as your brush is going across these things, you pick up details that your eyes would miss initially. And that's one of the reasons why, I was like, I got to paint one of these dragons. And I got a lot of heat for that. Like a lot of people are like, how dare you? Like, it's a work of art. And it's like, well, first of all, they're made to order. So all they're doing is making an extra one for the one that I'm ordering, right? It's not like I'm taking, it's not like they only made a certain amount in existence and I'm defacing one. Like, they're going to make an extra one just for me to do this. But on top of that, it's like by painting it, you get to see all those details. You get to explore all that stuff within it, and I'm super excited for it. But yeah, this is a great figure for that, just to kind of appreciate it. So
the texture that's on this thing too, the tusk body, like there's like anything, there's tons of smooth spaces on it. There's a lot of lines that come together, so there's tons of layers. But also on top of that, there's like a textured section throughout the whole body. So yeah, definitely, like you kind of discover as you're laying the paint down how it works over these different spots and what makes more sense versus other ideas that you might have. So it's crazy
for sure.
If you do that, if you do a dragon, Curtis, that's crazy. That's going to take a long time to paint.
They actually, while we were doing the 24-hour stream for the last day of the campaign, which was wild, by the way, but while we were doing that, I got convinced to get another one. So I actually have 2 coming that I'm going to customize.
Okay.
I've got 3 total, 1 to display, and then 2 more to customize. So yeah, I'm doubly nuts.
Wow.
But here is kind of our transition slide, which you made this very easy. We're going from Galactus into Silver Surfer, and man, dude, I tell you what, you killed this thing too.
Thank you.
Man, I love it. I look at it and I don't know exactly which parts are Legion and which parts aren't. Like I look at stuff and I go, is that no, maybe did that come from this thing? And so I think that's really cool, is that even with the parts that you've picked up that are 3D printed or from another line or whatever, like it blends so well with the paint job that you really can't, at least for me, and I'm somebody that's been dealing with these parts for a long time, I can't exactly pick out and say, hey, that for sure is Legions and that for sure is not. So yeah, tell us a little bit about this one.
Thank you. Yeah, the Silver Surfer is my favorite character. Him and Hulk are the 2 big ones for me. So I always knew I was eventually going to do this guy, but I wanted to figure out like what makes sense. I think the Xenophon character, the gray character, is the one that I worked with as a base.
Okay.
But the chest piece is not. It's not Legions. That was a 3D print.
Oh, okay. See that I didn't know. I thought this was just a modified Legions piece. So.
Yeah, no, there was one that has a strap over the chest, and I knew I didn't want to do just a straight Silver Surfer character. As much as I would prefer something like that, I thought visually it would be way more appealing to do him from the Planet Hulk storyline.
Yeah.
So then it was like, what pieces to use based on that, because he's got more of like that barbarian kind of style. He's got like the gold pauldron and a gold armored arm, that waist piece that hangs down. McFarlane stuff, we all joke like McFarlane is McFodder. You get tons of pieces from that line, and I know you love McFarlane to a certain extent too, and I do too. Like I would always rip on them those pieces, but honestly, I have so many that I bought. I'm like, I actually think I like this line. Like there's some really good figures in this line.
I think for the money, like it's a very good value line, right? Like is everything perfect the way that you'd want it? No, but for an in-store pickup, $25, like it's like you do get a lot for your price point for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I actually have the box here because I knew we were going to be talking about it, but King Shazam. So
gotcha. Yeah, a lot of people got that for the loin piece and for that cloak, the like with the fur. Yeah. So
he's got like that really like bushy, hairy cloak. It looks like it's made out of feathers or something like that. But that piece, they were selling that for like $10, $12. So it's a fantastic pickup, specific for fodder parts. And I have so many characters. I got 3 characters that I'm creating based on just that one McFarlane piece. So
see, I thought that was the Red Death at first, and now I see that it's not. But like initially when I saw this, I was like, oh, he used the Red Death, kind of loin piece that's hanging down. It's like, I mean, it's just a good job of mixing the parts to make it look like one thing. So
very cool. But yeah, so that. Basically, the mace, I don't know where I picked that up from, and I wish I was able to find more of them. I just have that one. but that was perfect based on the storyline of Silver Surfer when he was in this outfit, when he was in these pieces. The chest piece, that was an eye of Agamotto, the Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So I cut that up, and I drilled the center of it to open up the space, and I dropped in a magnet in there, and I drilled in the chest another magnet, so that way, here I can show you here.
Oh, it just pops off.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Right here.
Yeah.
It just comes off on the back.
That is so freaking cool. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I figured
yeah.
because he does escape. He gets away, and he has to get rid of that inhibitor piece there. So I figured I gotta figure that out.
See, that attention to the story detail, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like throwing that little bit in there and having it to where it's removable. That's super cool.
That's just total geekness. It's because, you know, again, growing up with these characters and always enjoying reading those stories, it's like the same thing. How can you display Galactus without an ultimate nullifier? Like, you have to have that piece in there.
and I love that because you went with this version, you also get kind of that one armored arm look, which, you know, anytime that you have the asymmetrical kind of gladiator look, I really dig that, and it works well on this, so that it's not, you know, just an entirely silver character that, you know, just looks like you took a, you know, bare naked barbarian and painted it all silver. Like, there's just a lot of detail here.
Yeah, that was really the attraction for going with this storyline for him. It's just, there's just so much more cool stuff to paint as opposed to like a silver dude, you know.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so this is where I've got a question. Okay, so here we've got this like part where he's got this, you know, strap for his arm for the shield, right? And then we see this. Where'd the strap go? What's going on? Is that removable, or is it just fold down that flat so tell us, how's this going? What's
removable. It's definitely removable. I knew that I wanted to be able to display him where he could have the board acting as a shield on his arm.
Right.
But, you know,
which looks fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. And just so everyone knows, like, it's tricky. As good as the picture looks with him holding it, it's not perfect. Like, it's a little tough to do, but I have the board here.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, let me
I'll just show, like, same exact thing. You can
magnet.
You can
gotta
see
get
the
some magnets,
magnet.
people. Yeah.
Yep. And on the strap itself, you can see how I just crazy glued other magnets, so that they just.
So where did that strap come from? Because that thing's cool.
This is Figura Obscura. It's what's the guy?
The Marley harness.
Marley harness, yeah.
Holy cow, that's awesome!
So
oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that.
And I just, you know, colored it. I painted it correctly and just carefully crafted around it. And any spots where you could see like cut plastic, I just painted it.
Dude, so I got an extra. I have a Marley that I customized, and I've got an extra harness laying around. That's definitely getting utilized. Holy cow, that's a great idea.
Thank you. Out of all the pieces that were available, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this connect. And then it was like, oh, a Marley. And we don't know what's crazy, Curtis. I'm telling you, we're connected, dude. Because when I got that first box from you at MuskyCon, not this past year, but the year prior, you had a Marley in there, and that was the one Figura Obscura I didn't purchase, and it would just happen to be awesome. In there. I was like, this is crazy. So it worked out perfect.
Anytime, you know, that's one of the things that I really love about these tributes that folks do, is the creativity of how to use parts, right? Like that is a chest harness to have, you know, chains and keys and all this kind of stuff on it, and to take that and make that into a shield strap that looks like it's custom, or it's factory made. Like, it looks like that shield comes with that just to hold on to his arm. That's just beautiful work. I love that.
Thanks.
And then the magnets that you're talking about, do you just get those like off of Amazon or something, or?
Yeah, I I may have gotten those from Home Depot. Actually, they sell like
Okay,
tiny magnets at Home Depot, but I'm sure I've also bought some on Amazon. But those would have
gotcha.
been the two places that I grabbed them from.
And then
And
you just drill a tiny hole, put a dab of glue, and just pop them in.
yep, that's it. Just
Gotcha.
very carefully, very slowly, and start with smaller drill bits if you want to go into plastic pieces,
Yeah,
and then just slowly open it up larger and larger to get it to be the right width to fit whatever magnet you're working with.
gotcha.
This board was a little different. I actually sculpted this whole thing, and I don't recommend doing that because it was, there's a lot of little imperfections in here for sure. But I didn't know there wasn't anything out there for me to work with to be able to build the board.
Yeah.
So I just used a lot of epoxy
Dude,
sculpt or Fitbit sculpt.
I think it
And I
looks
just,
fantastic, man. I
thank
mean,
you.
especially in photos, like it looks great. I assume that you picked this up from some Marvel line, like a Marvel Select or something like that. Like it looks great.
Thanks. Yeah. No, this is all hand sculpted, and it was a pain in the ass.
What do you use epoxy sculpt or green stuff or something
I
or?
have it. No, I have both. I used Fix-It Sculpt, Abe's Fix-It Sculpt.
Okay. Yeah, that's
And it
basically like epoxy sculpt. It's kind of the similar thing. Two
same
part
thing,
that
yeah.
you mix together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an A and a B, and you
Yep.
mix them together,
I
wait
think
like
I
5
think
minutes.
that's the exact same stuff. I think it just has a different logo on it. Like I think
Oh, okay.
some of these things they make them in the same factory and then they just slap different labels on it. I think that's one of those where it's the exact same formula as epoxy sculpt, just with a different label. But
Gotcha.
yeah, that's
Yep.
cool.
And
Awesome.
I just so people know, like if you do use it for sculpting at that level, as opposed to just like filling in gaps or like adding little pieces,
Yeah.
using it in large amounts, like I did for the board, I just had to use a lot of water. So I kept
Mhm.
using water to help manipulate it and allow it to be able to move. And to get the lines in here, I used a metal ruler. I just pushed down a metal ruler to get
Oh,
those
that's
indents
cool.
and kind of adjust it as needed. But it was a lot of layers over time.
Yeah. And then next transition, once again, you helped me out again. We got the transition of Silver Surfer to Mephisto. And yeah, I mean, once again, freaking killed it. So tell us a little bit about how this one came together.
Yeah, I think I did this one first out of the three, and
Mhm.
I just remember thinking I always wanted to have these three characters definitely in mythic parts. But Mephisto, it was pretty easy from like what to use. They had
Mhm.
a Krampus body, so the red
Mhm.
Krampus was like a special. I remember, oh, that's it. Like I can easily just use that. I won't have to do too much painting. I'll just
Mhm.
have to figure out what parts to use for the band pieces for the forearms and the shins.
Mhm.
And when they came out with the Figura Obscura Red Death, I was like, boom, that's it. The waist piece, I was like, that is Mephisto right there.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of acquiring those parts and then again finding the right head that would make sense. And yeah, there was someone I think that was also on Etsy. You can get this head there. So yeah, you just pay
I
for it. It's
like
like,
the two different cape options too. You got the soft good one there, which looks fantastic, but I really kind of go to this other one, the molded kind of vinyl or soft plastic or whatever. Like the back of this looks awesome. I love the look of that.
thank you. Yeah, the soft goods one, I love that. That's Joseph Connors did that for
Mhm.
me. He's a fantastic guy in the Cabal that does a lot of soft good pieces. But yeah, I also had a Spawn cape. So going back to
Mhm.
McFarlane, I had
Oh,
a
gotcha. That
Spawn
makes sense.
piece, and I had to, like anything, you got to modify a little bit. Um, the front here, I think it was attached. I don't
Oh,
remember
okay.
how it comes, but I cut a bunch of pieces off, and then I added some sculpt to it. This was, I think, the green stuff, not the epoxy that we are just talking
Okay.
about. And I just made it kind of a pointy tip because Mephisto, it kind of comes to a spot in the center. So, and I
Right.
also used some. I think you can see right here on both sides. There's magnets in
Oh,
there also.
magnets again. Man, Magnet
Yeah,
King. I
I
haven't done too much with magnets, but I'm gonna have to start. That's cool. The ones that I
It
had are much bigger than that. I don't think I've ever seen any that small. So I might have to go looking because I did a character. Well, I was working on a character that had guns that went on its side. It was a Clone Wars tribute, and I wanted the guns to be able to attach to the side without using those little pegs. I wanted something that
sure.
you could pop on there and then pop it off. And so I used magnets on there, and the magnets that I were using was basically the same size, actually even a little bit bigger than the hole for like that bracer that we were talking about earlier. So that's the size magnet I was using, which is pretty big. The ones that you've got are like super tiny. So I need to look at getting some of those.
Yeah, I'll I don't know where they are, like within my little tool bin over here. There's a lot of crap over there, but I'll find out, which ones I use and where I got them from, so I can let you know.
Awesome. But yeah, I love that idea to kind of attach that. So here's a couple looks again. Once, the one on the left has that more vinyl cape. The one on the right has the soft goods. And I know you had mentioned Joseph Connor. Him and Keon do a really good job of doing custom stuff for folks. So if you're in the Cabal, if you look up Keon, you look up Joseph Connor, both of those guys do a lot of work where people just let them know, hey, here's the specific project I'm working on. Here's what I want it to look like. And they do really good stuff. I've had a lot of folks reach out to me to see if my wife Darla could make stuff like that. And the problem is it's just a matter of capacity, right? Like our
Sure.
demand for just normal capes that she's doing on a regular basis is so high that and she's one person, there's not enough time to do it. But these guys, I don't know where they find the time, but they work on so many custom projects and they come out fantastic. I mean, like you look at this one from Mephisto and it looks great. And so I've heard nothing but great reviews from those two. So if you need a custom specific thing, that's probably where I would go.
Yeah, we have we can kind of take it for granted, I feel like, in the customizing like space when it comes to having a group like the Cabal. And if you have an idea, you literally, if you know the right people, or just like put out like a quick post to see who could help you with certain things, it's available. Like there's so many talented people that we have that can hook us up with different stuff to help us with our projects. And that's what's so awesome about the community.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about like needing that Galactus head and working with somebody to print it up and stuff. Last week, on how they do that, I was talking to Jeremy Gerard, and he was talking about his Kitsune figures, the Kitsune heads that are available on Wolf King. And that all started with him just wanting one for himself, right? Like it's now something that people buy and make their own Kitsune and all this kind of stuff. But he just wanted a fox head for a character. And he ended up working with somebody to get it sculpted, worked with Len to get it printed. Next thing you know, they start printing them for sale. Next thing you know, Wolf King Customs is like a company. It like becomes this whole thing. But you're right. Like if you can imagine it, you can bring it to life in this community. Through the work that you put in, through the work that you get from help from other folks. Sky's the limit. I mean, you can really do anything you want. If you can imagine it, you can bring it to life. So
exactly. Yeah, no, totally. So
and then I got this picture because I mean, come on, how could I not have this picture, right? Like, so you got the flames in the background, you got him kind of shooting flames there up in the air. This is great.
I had an idea of doing a lot of photography work, and I was buying some like diorama pieces, and it's a lot. I mean, when you look at what some of these people do, it takes a lot of time and effort. You're literally like using light and painting with light to get the image that you want. And sure, you can enhance it on Photoshop if you want to, like little things here and there, but ultimately you want to try and get the best shot like right off the bat. In the camera. And I was like, it just takes too much time and effort to do it. So when it comes to documenting, the custom figures that you do, sure. But when it came to like using the dioramas, it's like, it's too much. There's so many amazing people out there that go way beyond what I could do time wise. And I'd rather just see their cool stuff than me do it. But here's one. Yeah, I like this one a lot too. I think with that flame effect, it's I think it's Storm Collectibles. I think that piece came from one of their dragons.
Oh,
That's what I
the one that's shooting out of his hand.
Yeah, the fire piece out of his
Because the
hand.
other
Yeah.
one is I have that and I can't remember the company.
I
Um,
Same here. I don't know. I think it was the Express what's it called?
yeah,
AliExpress? Yeah.
AliExpress. I've seen them on
Ali-
eBay too. I think that's where I got mine, but I actually have I've got a setup here with Azahazar, where he's sitting on a throne and he's got Zazar on one side and Azar on the other, and he's like basically sucking up their life force. So
yeah.
I use that effect that you've got in the background. They have one that's in yellow and one that's in blue, and I've got that underneath of them, like he's kind of pulling that out of them. It works
That,
well. So
that's awesome. I remember you redoing your whole all of your glass pieces back there, and when you revealed it, I remember seeing that exact one that you're talking about. I was like, wow, that was a great idea. That was so good.
yeah, it's some of those little effects like that can really bring these things to life. So so that is the last photo that I had, but anything else that you want to add about any of those tributes, or if
Yeah.
people have an idea of doing something, how they get started, that kind of thing?
Sure. Definitely. One last thing with the Mephisto piece, I just wanted to
Sure.
say, like, these wraps that he has over the
Yep.
forearms, like this is it's Savage Crucible pieces from one of like the lizard figures that
Oh,
they
okay.
have. So like they don't fit or attach. So I just wanted people to know like how awesome it is using the epoxy sculpt. It's so versatile. I would
Mhm.
put I would put some epoxy sculpt into that piece, and then I would put
Basically just
the
jam
actual
the arm
peg.
into it.
Yeah, and then you just add some water onto the peg, push the peg into the epoxy sculpt, and you just twist it and then pull it apart, and then you let it dry for however long it takes to dry,
Yeah,
and then it should work. It should hold itself pretty well. So you can like, my point to that is just you can adapt pieces that don't even really fit that well using epoxy sculpt.
that's
Um,
cool.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
of
nice to
course,
have that
now we've
versatility.
got our own wraps, right? Like there's been a few characters that have come out with them, but yeah, I
Definitely.
mean, especially the early days of Mythic Legions when the library was very small, like people were getting Black Series parts to use, and they were getting stuff
Yeah.
from articulated icons and all kinds of stuff, and yeah. It's a
No,
little bit
definitely.
better now, but still, if you find a part from another line that you want to use, you can make it work somehow. So,
I honestly think the Tharnog wraps, the
mhm.
brute orc that we got now, like
Yep.
those pieces could have been really good for that Mephisto character. But at the time, I think I already had these other ones. I was like, I'll just use this. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, the library keeps expanding, and there's a lot of more fun things that we can do with it now. So
Absolutely. So, what about, folks are out there and they're like, man, I really love this certain character from my childhood. Maybe it's from comics, maybe it's from a movie or whatever, and they want to bring it to life. What would be your advice to those folks?
jump in and don't wait, don't hesitate, especially depending on like what your skill level is. Like you build the skills just by doing it. You have to just
Mhm.
learn by doing. And you have to care about it enough to get started, but
Yeah.
not care so much about it where you're going to scare yourself not attempting something, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, right? So yeah, I would do like what I said at the beginning with the Galactus figures. You scour through all the existing characters, see what parts you think might work for what you're thinking in your head,
Mm.
um, and buy that character. Pull those parts, pull that character apart and start piecing things together to see if your idea in your head actually visually will work in those 3D parts. And yeah, picking up some paint, start cheap if you want, because it can get expensive for sure.
Yeah.
Like the amount of paints that I have now compared to where I started with. I started with Vallejo paints, which are fine, but they're not as smooth as you would want when you get pretty accustomed to a certain kind of way of working with this kind of material. But yeah, don't
Yeah.
hesitate. Like,
I'm a big so flat guy. I love so flat paints. I know they use a lot of that in the studio, and it's my absolute favorite. I've recently started using some Acryl too from Monument Hobbies. They're really good, and I know Len at Wolfking Customs. I think he's getting ready to start carrying that. So when you actually go onto his site and you can order a figure from there, you can get 3D parts for it, and pretty soon you'll be able to get the paint that you need to paint it too. So it'll be
yeah,
awesome.
that's what
One-stop shop.
That is fantastic. Have it all be available, what parts you want and what paints you want. And I think the two that you named, the SoFlat, my experience with SoFlat is fantastic. I think it's the best that you can get, honestly, for me, in
For
terms of
coverage. I mean, especially the light colors, like white and yellow are usually terrible. Like if you're trying to cover up something dark with white or yellow, you better have all day, because it's going to take many, 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 many layers. But SoFlat has such good coverage that it's probably half of what it is from something else.
That's exactly the word I was going to use in terms of coverage and just laying it down where you're going to get what you want it to be, essentially like the first or by the second layer. It's like you can't beat it. And the Pro Acryl is the other one. Like I've only bought a few individual paints from them on Amazon, and they're great, just so I can get like a feel for it and see if it makes sense to like buy a whole like foundational. I think you get like 12 or 16, I think, in like their standard set. But I went all in on two thin coats. And as much as I like two thin coats, here I'll just show like they're
I've never used any of theirs, but I've heard some good things. So
it comes with an agitator inside, so you can just shake it and you're set to go. I bought a bunch of metal balls for other paints that don't have that, because you want to have a smooth consistency, which is great.
I thought you were saying that you bought that for Silver Surfer. Metal balls.
No,
just like, a little Silver Surfer joke.
No, these are you just throw these into the paint, like a Citadel paint pot or something like that, just to get you can shake it up and get a nice agitation, so the paints are nice and smooth. But Two Thin Coats is a fantastic company. They're smaller bottles. Like I love SoFlat not just for like their paint consistency and the coverage, but you get big one. You get a good amount.
You get a good chunk. The only thing I don't like is like trying to get the paint out of those SoFlat containers. I actually end up getting dropper bottles from Monument Hobby. You can buy like a pack of 12 of them. And all my SoFlats I transfer over to a dropper bottle with an agitator in it, so I can shake it up, just put a couple drops on a palette, and call it a day. So
that's super smart. I use like a paint knife. I'll dip that in and I'll lay it down onto my palette. But your idea is way better and way faster after you get it in there.
So the last thing I would say is for those that are interested in getting started in a tribute thing, like DaKen's talking about here, if you've never painted or you've never really done anything like this, try to be somehow part of the community, whether that's in the Cabal on Facebook, if that's getting your own Instagram account to take pictures of stuff as you're going. You're going to get a lot of encouragement. You may make some new friends. You may talk to some folks that have some good tips for you. You're going to feed off of each other's creativity. You don't have to do this in a silo, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So there's, we do a customizing studio on Sundays. We've got a group that just kind of shares things that they're working on, and people give each other feedback and stuff like that. So, part of this whole hobby is being able to share your work with others. Right. So just make sure that, somehow you're making connections. That's one of the big parts of this, I think.
Definitely. I second that 100%. Join the studio, get involved in that, meeting people that are doing the same sort of thing, get advice from people, live real-time advice as you're working on stuff. You can't beat that. I think as great as it is, the most important thing about, being creative is being able to share it and to meet people while doing it. And the studio provides that access point, and everybody that's there is awesome and super helpful. So definitely a good idea.
And the outlet for your imagination, right? Like it's one of those things. Like when we were kids, I was talking about this with Jeremy last week, but we were kids. You could take a cardboard box and turn it into a base for your figures. You could turn it into a jail cell. You could turn it into your imagination went crazy as far as all the things you could do with a cardboard box. And, as adults, things get more real, and you're paying bills and you're going to work and you're doing all the 9 to 5 stuff. But, you know, it allows you to kind of think a little bit creatively again, be a little bit imaginative, look at how you can use these parts, where, you know, which spots am I going to paint these light colors, or which spots am I going to paint dark colors, and all that stuff I think is very helpful for us just mental health wise. So
Definitely. I feel like playing in this sandbox, it like allows us to be big kids.
yeah,
And that's what it
for
all
sure.
comes back to. Like for me, it literally is nostalgic. Like, you know, to have all the toys that I have at this age, you know, most people would look at as being silly. But to me, it's fun. It's like it basically is an allowance of, hey, you can play like a kid with other big kids and
Oh yeah,
enjoy the
yeah, for
process.
sure.
The most important thing in life, honestly, at this age, I've learned is you got to have fun. You got to enjoy whatever it is that you're doing in life. And, you know, being creative, I think, is one of the biggest pieces of it. So, you know, get at
Absolutely.
it, go out there, buy some toys and start customizing.
Yeah, do something fun. Well, DaKen, I really appreciate you joining us. Your tributes are fantastic. I think they're as good as any in the community. And I hope to keep seeing you do more of them, because I absolutely love them. So
Thanks, buddy.
appreciate you
Appreciate it.
joining us today. And I'm going to put you backstage. If you've got to run, I totally understand. If not, hang out. I will be right with you as soon as I close out the show.
Sounds good. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks a lot. Well, folks, that was a lot of fun. That was, you know, another how'd they do that in the books. You know, once again, I say this all the time, but I appreciate all of these folks in the community coming on and willing to kind of share, you know, their experiences, their tips, their tricks, all of that stuff. I think helps, you know, you guys, helps me. It just helps to hear what other folks like, their thought process and how they've gone through this. And so I hope this inspired you. I hope that you go out and make something yourself. And, you know, maybe you've got that one thing in your head. I know I got a bunch of them in my head. I got a bunch of projects that are halfway finished or partway finished. But I've got a couple in my head that I'm like, man, I really need to get around to doing this, but I just don't know the exact parts to use or whatever. And then you just see a certain figure and you're like, that's it. That's the key. That's the thing that's going to unlock it. So I hope that you guys find that. I hope that, you know, that you've got that thing in your head that you'd love to create. Maybe you haven't had a version of that character or whatever since you were a kid. And, you know, I hope that today inspired you to go out and make that and create it. And if you did, make sure you tag DaKen, tag myself. We'd love to see what you come up with. And till next time, folks, keep creating.